Here at Swiss Watch Expo, we have 3 incredible watches that incorporate meteorite. Stick around and see what we have. Welcome back to Swiss Watch Expo. This is Angel, and this week we are looking at some absolutely incredible watches that implement meteorite. Now, meteorite, sometimes when we say that, we just kind of skim over it. We say that the dial has some beautiful texture to it, but if you really think about how spectacular meteorite is, it's astounding that we can actually incorporate them onto the dial of the watch. Meteorites are, of course, from outer space, and when you see them, you see different striations on the dial, what they call the Widmanstätten pattern. Now, that has to do with the person who, a count from Vienna back in 1808, who is the first person accredited to speak about these lines and striations of kamacite and taenite inside of the dial that create that beautiful pattern. But there are different people who feel a little on the other side of things. There was a mineralogist maybe about 4 years prior by the name of Thompson, who actually was the first person to document that these striations were on the dial. So it's up in the air about whether the name should be hyphenated or if it should just be the Widmanstätten pattern. But essentially what that tells you is that the kamacite that's come in through the piece of iron ore that's come from outer space has traveled very slowly throughout the atmosphere, and that kamacite is not available as a mineral here on Earth. So that helps you to know that it is truly from outside of our galaxy here. And then as it's traveling through space, that's what's creating those lines. It is a very slow movement. When we say slow, we mean traveling millions of years to create those lines on the dial. So we're going to take a look at a Piaget, a Rolex Cellini, and a Rolex President. So let's get right into it. Now, this Piaget is absolutely stunning. This is the Altiplano, where you have a 40 millimeter dial, and that meteorite dial actually has a beautiful blue color to it that they have finished to create that color, but you will see that it has those lines and striations through it. The reason I really love this reference is because it is ultra thin, but it is an automatic movement. This watch is maybe a little bit over 6 millimeters thick, but to have something like that and it be an automatic movement is outstanding. On top of that, this watch is limited edition. There were only 300 of these made. So think about that. You have the meteorite and you have the limited production of this watch. And you'll have that beautiful rotor on the back if you want to take a look at that to help create an automatic movement, but very thin. And then of course you'll have the Piaget diamonds around the bezel, 72 diamonds on this bezel, equating about a carat total weight on this. But just an outstanding, thin, unique, yet classic timepiece that incorporates the meteorite dial with a color treated finish that you don't see really on any other watch. Next up, we're going to take a look at this absolutely stunning perpetual calendar from the Rolex Cellini collection. Now, I love this because the first thing is you rarely see Rolex watches with complications like this. A lot of people like to compare the Cellinis that have this kind of coin edge finish to the 1908 references, but those only tell time. This watch here will have the true Moonphase indicator at the bottom, so 29.5 days. And then you will also have the date indicated around the outside of the dial, of course, again with the moon. And that little triangle at the top of the moon phase is going to indicate where we're at in the moon cycle. And it actually shows the full moon cycle, while some watches, it's a half dial on that. And then the reason I love this is because if you take a look at that moon there, It is Meteorite. So it's a very small implementation on the dial, but it does matter. It shows you how Rolex never cuts corners, even with something as small and special as that. This is going to be a 39mm watch. Nice size case, but I'm always a huge fan of any watch that has the date indicated by the crescent on the outer edge of the dial. So very beautiful. You don't see watches like this from Rolex, even going into some of their other dress models throughout history. If you can get your hands on something like this, now is the time, because they don't make this style anymore. And I highly doubt we'll see something like this in the near future from Rolex. And then last, but absolutely certainly not least, is this spectacular Day-Date 40 from Rolex. Now, this watch is the best of everything. It's going to be in platinum, which is the top metal that you could find. It's going to be very heavy, very dense. Then you'll have the meteorite dial, of course, and then you'll have the baguettes on the dial and also around the outer edge on the bezel. This is going to be the premium of premium watches. When you think about the Day-Date and the 40mm size, this really presents beautifully. But when you have cuts of diamonds such as the baguettes, it is going to be the step cuts. So it's not so much focused on brilliance, it's more so focused on clarity. So the diamonds on the Day-Date here, they're going to be D to F color, so colorless. And then you're going to have internally flawless to VVS clarity. You have to have something like that when you're looking at step cut diamonds, because any kind of inclusions, they will show and mirror off of each facet. So it's the premium styling. And I think it looks absolutely gorgeous with the Widmanstätten pattern on the dial, because it gives you that, it mimics that dial, you know, in the way that it's designed versus the round brilliance, right? And then with that platinum, it's going to be about 11% heavier than if you were to do gold. So it's going to be a substantial, weighty piece. This will have all of the premiums as far as the movement. You're going to have a 72-hour power reserve, super accurate, and just a very rare piece. If you have this in your budget, or you've been looking at this for some time, this is the one to get. It's in unworn condition. You will not find this watch anywhere else. So get this in your collection. I mean, if you just look at that, that is spectacular. It speaks for itself. 3 great models with the meteorite implemented. And of course, they are all here and available, ready to ship today. There are lots of other watches that have meteorites, but these are my top 3. Let us know down in the comments what you love most, and we'll see you next week on the next video.